enthusiasts, how you doing? So it's Friday, it's the weekend. By the time this goes out, it'll be about 7:30. So if you're watching this as it goes out, hope you've had a great week. Hope you've got a great weekend planned. And I name it officially beer o'clock. So it's been a hot week again. It's been fairly busy for me, so lots going on with the house, as you can imagine, but I did manage to get round to getting some bits done on Vini this week. So this video update this week, little bit of a technical update for once. So I replaced the throttle position sensor on Vini and explain why, and the little problems I've had with that, but I'll explain more in a video. But I think my biggest problem is I've been buying cheap ones, so we will see. Upcoming for the week, so next weekend it's Mini in the Park. I really can't wait for that. It's one of the rare shows actually where I'll be taking both cars. So I'll be going up in PL and I'll be going up in Vini as well. I've just insured my wife to drive PL. Yeah, I know, I must be mad. But I'm sure she'll be careful with it. She only hits things that don't move. So as long as we keep moving, she'll be absolutely fine. And I'll be driving Vini up there and really looking forward actually to getting Vini up on the drag strip. I see they changed their policy again this year, so every year they do it. They say it's going to be £20 for 4 runs or 5 runs. A couple of weeks beforehand they do a reversal on that. They change their mind, and this year they say it's £25 for unlimited runs. In reality, you probably won't get, unless you're absolutely mad and hardcore, get up early and keep going all day long, you probably only get about 6 or 7 runs in anyway. But 4 for 20 quid wasn't that great, but unlimited for 25, it's not bad. Gives you the option to keep going all day if you want. So really looking forward to that. Be going up on Saturday with some other members of Brighton Mini Club, and we'll be camping over the weekend, and I've got both cars on the club stand on Sunday. So I don't know how it works with running cars up the track actually, but hopefully I can have them both on the club stand and take Vini out up the track when I want to. And Bolt will be there as well. So Project Bolt, Mark's taking the mini race car there. So it'd be amazing to see what that can do, a standing quarter mile in. It's not really built for drag racing, it's built as a track car, but I'm sure it'll be very quick anyway. For Vini, I'll be hoping to get anywhere sort of mid to low 16s will be a really good time for that car. I think it runs 16s last year. If I can nudge a 15 point something, I'll be absolutely over the moon about that. But I'm not sure it's that quick actually. Be really interesting to see what Bolt does. I actually think that'll be down in sort of low 14s actually. So like I say, this week's update, little update on Vini, and midweek this week actually done another track day at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit in Bolt. Went faster than it's ever been before. So I've got a load of footage on my computer. I just don't know what to do with it at the moment. So I don't know whether you're getting bored of seeing Project Bolt track day videos. I'll probably put it up anyway. I mean, you don't have to watch it if you don't want, but basically we managed to, or Mark was quicker than me this week. He managed to lap Brands Hatch in just pretty much bang on 1 minute, which is very fast. So anyway, I'll stop waffling. Hope you enjoy the video this week, guys, and look forward to catching up with you next week. Hope you have a really great weekend. Cheers. Hey guys, how you doing? So as I was saying, I've had this intermittent problem with Vini where the engine management light comes on and off intermittently. Sometimes it's okay, other times it comes on, stays on for a bit and then goes off. And I might have mentioned previously, Vini's obviously an engine conversion, so it has the engine out of a 1.6 litre, it's an 8 valve Vauxhall engine. It's a C16SE, which is the same as they fitted in the Astra GLSI and the Vauxhall Nova, I think it was GSI, Nova GSI. But anyway, it has ECU controlled ignition and fuel, with built-in self-diagnostics as well via blink codes on the engine management light. What that allows you to do is do similar sort of diagnosis you'd do with a diagnostic code reader or scanner. You can interpret the fault codes and find out what the problem with the car is. So let's just turn the ignition on. You'll notice we have an engine management light down on the bottom left here, so you don't find that on any minis actually. I don't even think, no, the MPI minis don't have an engine management light on them. So that should come on self-check as a check light when you turn the ignition on. When we start it up, that light should go out, so let's see what happens. I bet it will go out now just because I don't want it to. So no, that light stayed on. That shouldn't stay on like that. That should go out. It took a little bit of a delay there, but it should go out literally a second or so after starting. So all we'll do now is we'll connect up and see if we can read what the fault code is, see why it's doing that. So let's have a quick look. So Vini, I managed to retain the old diagnostic plug out the original Vauxhall system, so that's the diagnostic plug there. I usually just tuck it up behind the dash, and to get our blink codes to make that work, what you have to do is get a just get a wire, connect that to an earth. So I'll carry this little connector around with me in the car actually. That clips onto there like that, and then the other end, all you've got to do is earth out one of these pins. So I've already marked it on here because I've done this before, and we plug that in that connector there. So basically that pin is going straight to earthed out on the steering column mounting there. Now what will happen is when I turn the ignition on, it will go into self-diagnosis mode. And what it will do, when it goes into this mode, you'll see it in a moment, it will flash a series of codes, and they're done in like old school tens and units. So I think the short flash is tens and the long flash are units, or vice versa. Let's have a look. But what it always does is when it goes into self-diagnosis mode, it will flash code 12 3 times. It will then flash whatever the error code is, and then if there's multiple ones, it will keep going. Once it's finished delivering the fault codes, it will flash again code 12 3 times to say it's finished. So that's one short light or one long light, that's 10, 11, 12. So it's tens and units, so 10, 11, 12. And that should tell us what the fault is. 10, 20, 1, 2. 10, 20, 1, 2. So it's code 22, and now it's gone back to code 12. So there's only one fault code in there, and that's code 22, which I can already tell you is throttle position sensor voltage low. So I will get a meter on and see what the throttle position sensor voltage is. Throttle position sensor, as with most sensors on any engine control unit managed car, the sensors work on 5 volts, so they receive a 5 volt signal from the ECU, and the ECU then expects a signal back. It's not 0 to 5 volts, it's half a volt to 4.5 volts. Basically, if it gets a signal back that's lower than half a volt, it will come back with signal voltage too low, and if it's over 4.5 volts, it might come back with signal voltage too high. So in this case, we're getting throttle position sensor is where it's got the problem, and it's saying signal sensor voltage is too low. So just to get out of this self-diagnosis mode, all we have to do is just disconnect the wire here. That will have finished self-diagnostics now, so the engine management light is on as it normally is. We start up and the light's gone out. So like I say, it's an intermittent problem, so I'll stick a meter on there and see what the reading is. The throttle position sensor on Vini is down the back of the engine here. It's this component here. Like I say, I've replaced this 2 or 3 times in the past. What it actually does is where the engine rocks backwards and forwards slightly, it does hit this this remote bar for the brakes here, And in the past I've tried just shaving off that throttle position sensor, trying to lessen that, but I don't think that's causing the problem, because this time, from what I can see, there's no mark on it. So sorry about that. Let's just get this vacuum pipe out of the way, and you can see the connector on there. It's just 3 wires, and those 3 wires will be 5 volts from the ECU. There'll be an earth, and there's a signal wire back to the ECU. So all we need to do is see what reading's going back to the signal wire. So we've got to test this with the sensor connected. So it's connected up, the ignition's on, and we're connected to the back probe in the brown wire there. Now if I look at the meter, we get 5 volts, which is voltage from the ECU. So it's getting us 5 volts, the ECU switched on, everything's working there. And then we'll go into, it's the blue wire, that should be the signal wire back to the ECU. So that should be between 0.5 volt and 5 volts. So it should be 0.5 volt at idle, 5 volts at full throttle. And as we can see, it's only reading 0.3 of a volt. So that's why we're getting a signal too low, or voltage too low. I can check the sensor myself to see if it's working, which it is. Full throttle should be around about 4.5 volts, 4.3, 4.4, so that's right. It's just that voltage when it's at idle, so that's too low. It should be 0.5 volt. I've actually tried, and I've slackened off these nuts before, and there is a little bit of rotation in it, and I've tried rotating it and adjusting it to get it to 0.5 volt, but I don't know, it seems to always revert back to this. So let's fit a new sensor on it and see how good it is afterwards. So just to compare, that's the old sensor that I've just taken off. This white on it, I'd put like some white, it's not paint, can't remember what it was now. I put it on there just as kind of a marker so I could see if it was hitting that brake linkage, but it doesn't seem to be, hasn't damaged it in any way. You'll notice I have elongated the holes on this. That's so I can twist the sensor around on the throttle spindle to get back to 0.5 volt. There's a new sensor there, £7 off eBay. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Like I said, buy cheap, buy twice, sometimes they say, don't they? So that's that sensor, £7, non-genuine one. Genuine one's about £40, big difference, but I might not be having problems with them going out of tolerance. So I think one last try at a cheap one. If it goes wrong again, then I'll buy an expensive one. But I fitted, like I say, this is my 2nd or 3rd one. Every time I fit them, they last about a year. So, don't know. Buy 5, make them last 5 years. I don't know. False economy, innit? So there we go, guys. New sensor on there. There's a tiny little bit of play in these securing bolts here, so you can move it a little bit left and right. Get a tiny little bit of adjustment on there, but not enough. As you can see, that's connected in on the sensor wire now, 0.6 of a volt at idle, and then as we increase the throttle, 4.68, so that's going to be within tolerance now. That should stop the warning light coming on, but I don't know why it comes on in the first place. We'll see. Guarantee in a year's time this will be reading 0.3 of a volt, so I don't know whether they wear out or something like that. I thought maybe the throttle butterfly spindle was worn in here, but solid, doesn't seem to be any movement in it. Don't know, but it's no big deal. It doesn't cause it to break down, just goes slightly unresponsive on the throttle, and it's £7 to sort it out. So, but as you'll see when I was talking about it running really close to that brake bar there, don't think that has anything to do with it, but who knows. That's the throttle position sensor fitted now, and you should see the normal operation of the management or engine management light now. So ignition on, the light should come on, and then as soon as I start up it should go out. So all looks good. The only thing I do need to do actually is should really reset the error memory now on the ECU. I can't quite remember how I do it, might have to look that up, but simple way of doing it actually, if I just leave the battery disconnected for 24 hours, that will reset the error memory on the ECU, so that throttle position sensor code won't be stored in there anymore, or I think it goes away after a certain amount of drive cycles anyway. But I'm going to take it for a drive now, make sure it's okay. I'm sure it will be.